This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Adobe Acrobat Studio, your new foundation. Use PDF spaces to generate a presentation. Grab your docs, your permits, your moves. AI levels up your pitch, get it in a groove. Choose a template with your timeless cool. Come on now, let's flex those tools. Draft, design, deliver, make it sing. AI builds the deck so you can build that thing. Do that, do that, do that with Acrobat.
Learn more at adobe.com/do-that-with-acrobat.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Roger. Hello, Tim, and welcome to our. Well, as this is a new podcast, this is our first film episode on the History Film Club podcast, which is part of the History Book Club conglomerate.
That's easy for you to say.
Conglomerate.
Yeah.
Right. So, and it's Saving Private Ryan. So we thought we'd start with a bang, the three of us.
Yeah.
And so, Roger, welcome. Thank you for joining.
My great pleasure. Hello, Ollie. Hello, Tim.
Hello, Roger.
Hello, Tim. Welcome.
Hello, Ollie. Hello, Roger.
So for those unfamiliar, Tim is a film director, script writer, and he is an old friend of mine. And Roger is a very well-known best-selling historian whose most recent book is about the U-boat war called Wolfpack. And so we've got that blend. You should be getting the sense we got a blend of the kind of auteur technician from Tim and the kind of historical knowledge that Roger can provide. And of course, he's been spending weeks researching D-Day and the storming of Omaha Beach and what goes on in Saving Private Ryan. So we're in safe hands. But yeah, it's the Spielberg epic. It is just, I'll start with a few basic facts for listeners. I'm not going to go into too much detail here because I think most people will know, but it is a Spielberg film, as I say. It was written by Robert Rodat. Stars Tom Hanks, Edward Burns, Matt Damon, Tom Sizemore, Barry Pepper, Adam Goldberg, Vin Diesel, Jeremy Davis, and a few others. Ted Danson, Dennis Farina make an appearance, and Bryan Cranston and Paul Giamatti as well. Very good to see them in it. So 0 females. I think there's one French civilian who is allowed to say a few words, but in another language, and it's not subtitled. So this is very much a male movie, but it's D-Day, so inevitable. It did very well in the box office. It was, I guess it was one of the first, it was the first war film, Second World War film for a while, at least mainstream. It cost $70 million, roughly, dollars to make, and it made nearly $500 million in the box office.
Wow.
So I think we can agree that's a success.
Yeah.
Tim, I'll start with you. Is there anything I've missed there that I should mention?
No, I don't. 2 female.
Yes,
the little girl and the mother.
Oh, and the mother.
And yeah, I don't think the secretaries actually say anything though, do they? I think they just look hopelessly at letters and then walk into men's offices and the men
But
talk.
she's actually a very important character. I'm glad you brought that up, because if she hadn't picked up that letter and noticed the other one, it would have been...
Oh yeah, absolutely integral. Yeah. I mean, and a devastating scene when the car turns up at the Ryan's mother's house.
Fabulous scene. Yeah.
And
again,
no words actually.
But again, does she actually say anything?
No, but it's probably more powerful that nothing's said in that scene. I mean, maybe you could add that it's vaguely based on an actual.
Yes,
event.
we'll get to that.
Yeah,
it is based on a family. Yes, indeed.
Loosely,
very loosely. Yes. Well, I mean, I'm looking forward to the everything we're going to discuss, but particularly the subjective American point of view of things, which I think is one aspect of the film that you could come away with thinking, surely there was room for one ally, maybe just one. Apart from that, dramatically, it's astonishing. Historically, I think it's very, very important because, as you say, there hadn't been the Thin Red Line which we've done was around the same time,
on a different podcast, but yes,
on a different podcast. But
it was around the same time, wasn't it?
But it was around the same time.
Yeah.
But I think this is, landmark because, Spielberg came at it with a relatively innovative technique, which of course shows in the first 20 minutes, half an hour on the D-Day landings and the end battle. And a bit in between, but everything else is kind of standard fare if you think about it. So I think that's why it's an important film in film history, because it's been mimicked ever since.
Now, Roger,
yes,
you were just saying before we started recording that you view this film as perfect.
I do. Yes,
Bold.
I think to me, I know. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people throwing their hands up in horror.
That means perfect to me means there is no error whatsoever. It has been the storyline is perfect. The acting is perfect.
It's beautifully
the set
paced.
is perfect.
Yeah, I think it's beautifully paced. I think that there's a sort of an authenticity to it. They are grimy. People die horrible deaths. They don't just get shot once and go and they're dead. Which is one of my perennial annoyances. People are dirty. Again, one of my perennial annoyances with war films. They always used to say about the Soviet army, for example, you could smell it before you saw it because they stank so much. And that's the sort of thing you want to come across in your war film, right? They've got dirty uniforms. They're covered in mud. They've got blood smeared on them. I mean, it's just, that's how it is. So that comes across. It's got characters. It's got character arcs. It's got character development. It's got, interplay between those characters, which shifts with time. I think it's just an absolutely beautiful film. It's emotionally gut-wrenching, probably a bit too much, as we said. That sort of the book ending of the elderly Ryan at the graveside and so on is a little bit too saccharine. So that's maybe one. That's a sort of quarter point off. So no, it's not perfect. But no, I just think, and as films go, and particularly as war films go, it's absolutely up there for me. I think it's brilliantly executed, and I would say it's nigh on perfect.
Would you rate it above, just simply because on a previous podcast we did Schindler's List? Would you rate it above Schindler's List?
Yes, I probably would, honestly. But they're both up there. They're both high 9s out of 10. 9 point something out of 10. I love this film. I always have, and I think it's very good. I know a lot of people complain about the lack of any. I think there's one disparaging mention of Montgomery, isn't there? I think that's the one.
Yeah. Montgomery gets mentioned
the British
immediately dismissed.
He's overrated.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is, a lot of people would say that about this film.
No. I'm open to discussion, but to me, I think there's leitmotifs through it. That the shaking hand motif that goes all the way through it, I think, is wonderful. I love the characterization where moments of tension. That moment after the radar station scene where he diffuses the tension by saying, what's the pool on me up to now? And because they have this pool running, obviously, of what his peacetime job was, and the way that sort of he diffuses that tension, I think it's absolutely brilliant film. I absolutely love it.
I actually, having watched it again, and it's on iPlayer for those Britain, you can watch it. And who those aren't, maybe have VPN, you could probably watch it on iPlayer. And the film, I thought it had got better than the last time I'd seen it about 10 years ago.
Right.
So I actually watched it in the cinema in America when it came out. Which was quite an experience actually, because the cinema audience in America, at least certainly for this film, was a lot more reactive verbally than in a British cinema.
They are anyway.
Right.
Very much.
What does that mean? They
were not unafraid of shouting slurs on certain characters they didn't like. So, for example, Corporal Upham, who fails to save the Adam Goldberg character. I can't remember his name, actually. When he's in a sort of life-death struggle with a Nazi SS, Waffen-SS soldier. And he's sort of hovering cowardly on the stairway because he's too scared. And I had whilst watching that, I had a huge amount of empathy for him, because obviously, he hadn't been exposed to combat before. He was completely, from the moment there's the shooting when it's raining in a French village soon after they leave the beaches, he's sort of totally incapable of dealing with combat. But anyway,
but it also wasn't his world. I mean, he
likes writing maps and translating German dispatches.
And that came across, that wonderful opening scene where he's engaged, to do the mission, and he says, I haven't handled a weapon since basic training. And he said, did you do basic training? He said, yes. Well, get your gear.
Yeah.
I found him a very sympathetic.
He's very sympathetic, but he does suddenly, need, out of necessity. I think this is also Spielberg's sentimentalism coming out, that after Giovanni Ribisi has been killed, has died, and they want to, essentially rid the German officer. He becomes suddenly the voice of reason and steps up and takes over.
The conscience,
which I don't entirely buy. I understand the principle. He's not a war veteran. He's a translator. He doesn't. But I'm not sure he would step up in front of all of those soldiers and yell at his captain, "Are you letting this happen?" I think it just slightly jarred.
Oh right, yeah. He finds his courage when it comes suddenly to shooting Germans in cold blood.
To defend the Germans.
He's a flawed character. He's not, and actually, the only time he does actually shoot a German is once he's put his hands up.
That German, it's him.
It's
the same German.
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously lots of irony going on there, but but in this cinema in San Francisco, which is, we weren't I was not in the deep South in Texas or anything. There were a few cries of "goddamn coward." At the screen, which quite surprised me at the time, actually. But he is a lot more. He, as you say, so you didn't find it particularly believable that he would stand up for this?
It was a little bit narrative device, Hollywood movie, a bit.
Yeah.
But there are quite a few of those moments in the film. I don't think Spielberg genuinely. Tom Stoppard said that Tom Stoppard, who wrote Empire of the Sun. In interviews at the making of that film, Stoppard,
God rest his
point
soul.
Blank, yes, rest in peace. Tom Stoppard point blank says, "I don't think Stephen can help it. It's just him." He what he was basically getting at was he really admits that he found quite a bit of Empire of the Sun overly sentimental. And it does permeate through Spielberg's work a lot. In fact, there's not many. I would say Jaws is, because being an early work, is almost the only one, maybe a couple of others early on, where there's really no sentimentalism in the film at all. Or at least very little. And as he became more successful, it's his childlike aspect of, he wants everything to be neatly tied up in a bow. And I do think that comes through in, even Schindler's List has it. I think this has it a lot. Dare I say. Sorry, Roger.
No,
the bookends are very pronounced. I think,
yes.
it's am I a good man? It's like, damn, you're sort of you're
well,
diluting.
I have a few problems with that,
power.
because wouldn't he have mentioned to his wife that this had happened, this massive event, World War II? He would have mentioned it once.
Do they talk about
No, I understand that a lot of veterans don't like to talk about this kind of thing at all. But with his wife, not once. I mean, there's a couple of generations below, so they've been clearly married for a very long time.
Yeah.
I would have thought he would have said, well, my life was saved by a very good man, or he might have mentioned Captain Miller once in his entire life.
Yeah.
Clearly not. Yeah. Maybe the gratitude was just, because his family were watching.
And the thing is that you can also argue, I don't know, because we're not soldiers. I don't know whether this.
Yes, we should point that out. We have no combat experience.
Yeah, we have no military experience whatsoever.
We're all Uphams.
Yes. We can only aspire to be an Upham.
Yeah. But it's a hypothetical question. Do soldiers, during the scene we're talking about, where they're debating whether to get rid of this German or let him walk away, which they ultimately do, when there's such a conflict in a group and the captain finds no other way but to admit something about his personal life that no one knew about and that everyone was getting about, and then talk emotionally about his wife, getting back to his wife. I don't know whether in that scenario, in real life, that would have ever happened, whether a captain would have ever said something like that to his.
No, okay.
To his squad.
Yeah, in reality, that German's getting hit and shot, isn't he?
Yeah. Likely.
I mean, I'm glad you mentioned this, because this is something I wanted to talk about, because this is a sort of moral question that I don't think we address very much in our modern societies, particularly where we haven't really been involved in warfare for a long time. And when we did, Afghanistan and Iraq, it was so far away. It wasn't reported on, I don't think, as much. Well, it was reported on. I don't mean that there was no coverage, but I just don't think we were exposed to it as much as we were maybe, say, for the Falklands or certainly the Second World War or anything. But this moral question of shooting the prisoner, obviously it goes against the Geneva Convention and is technically a war crime. But I think the three of us must be aware that this kind of thing would have happened on a large scale on all sides during the Second World War. I don't think there's any kind of question of that.
Don't you kind of see it briefly anyway in this film, which is an interesting.
You see, like in the final battle, there's a couple of guys that surrender and they just get shot.
Yeah. And in the opening,
storming
when they come out
of
of the trenches, and they've got their hands up, and he's like, I can't understand what you're saying.
And at the beginning in the bunkers, yeah.
All put down to, in those circumstances, maybe the chaos of war.
Yeah.
That and the battle that. But in terms of this scene, they've caught him. There's no threat now. He's the only one left. There's 8 of them, or however many there are of them.
Well, 7. Wade's just been killed.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Would in real life, plausibly, they would have just shot him.
I think in that situation, highly emotive, where Wade has just, bled out. One of your men has just been killed. There's one guy left. I think in the heat of that moment, there's a very good chance he'd be shot.
Yeah, I think so. And it may be that the officer wouldn't have even been able to do anything about it. It would have happened so quickly, maybe. I thought that the moment when Wade dies is extremely powerful. And,
it is.
And I wanted to mention this because I've been reading an excellent book called Our Boys by Helen Parr, which is about the Falklands War and follows a parachute regiment in the Falklands War. And Helen Parr is a historian, academic, and her uncle was killed in the Falklands. And she writes about a moment that is also is similarly depicted here in Saving Private Ryan, when Wade dies, where when he knows he's going to die, it's his mother he's calling for, and that everything else falls away. And he's not in France. He's not thinking of his friends or the Corps or so the Ranger Division or whatever. It's all about his mother.
Is it not quite standard, apparently, that soldiers, in the heat?
Oh no, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not saying this is unusual. I think it's unusual in that you don't often see it depicted on film.
Yeah.
And it's I found that probably particularly because I've just read this book, hugely powerful, almost on the same level as the opening scene, just because this is when someone is dying.
I'm sure Tim will correct me if I'm wrong, but like many Spielberg films, this is a film of set pieces, right? You've got the sniper scene at the beginning, or close to the beginning. I mean, obviously the opening scene is the most amazing set piece you can imagine. Then this, the Würzburg radar scene, which is this, with Wade's death, and it all, it's you could separate it out very easily, cut it to whatever it is, 8-10 minutes, and that's the set piece, and it stands alone. It's brilliant.
And it's brilliantly, I love the way Spielberg does that particular set piece, because in fact, from the beginning of it, he decides to shoot the thing from Jeremy Davis's point of view. So when they all go up the hill, the camera doesn't go with them. They go off, and it stays with, and you don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
There's the smoke from all the explosions, and then they call to him, and we run with him, and we don't know who's been injured, how many's been injured, and it comes through the smoke, and it's Wade that's on the ground surrounded by, and I've always thought maybe one of the best death scenes on screen.
Yeah.
Really through performance. I mean, he is remarkable in it.
Yeah.
And I would think that anyone as an actor, having read it, they would think I'm so happy I got this part, because they must be so excited to do this scene.
Yeah.
And I've always used it as an example of how to do a death scene compared to some others that I won't name. 1917. How brilliant it is, because he's not acting. If you, with inverted commas, he's not trying to die. He's reacting to the, well, obviously no pain, because he's actually not in pain in real life, but he's so good at it's the shock in his voice where there's no yelling, there's no screaming, it's just this kind of shaky voice that he does that is so remarkably good that I think it's genuinely one of
that moment where he says, "I could use a little morphine," and then they say, "Give him another one." And he'd give him
well, that's the moment when they realize.
That's when but he realizes as well. That's why he says, "Give me morphine."
And it's so good that, like, in the very beginning of that section, he's trying to be the medic.
Yes.
He's actually saying, "I've been shot in the spine. Get my legs up." And he's battling through, like, being the soldier, and then actually going, "I'm dying."
Wound and absolutely. It's so powerful. But going back to the mother thing, of course, you can say this is Spielberg being saccharine again, but in a couple of scenes previously in the church, he was talking about his mother, right? And how his mother brought him up, and that she used to come back from work, and sometimes he'd pretend to be asleep, and he didn't know why why he didn't want to interact with her at the time and stuff. And it's kind of it's a very poignant scene. And then obviously that in our own minds we're referencing that when he's saying mother, mama when he's dying,
because the interesting you would say that, because that's one section of what would appear to be saccharine that I don't think is actually that
right.
saccharine. I think his speech I think he's an amazing actor. I think he gives a really great performance, and I love that speech because he's so still. He doesn't sort of overemphasize anything. But he and I love the fact that he's also copying out Vin Diesel's letter, neatly. He's purely human, I guess, and selfless. But I love the speech because he doesn't over sentimentalize it. But not only that, it's so poignant because he didn't speak to his mother when he could have done. And now she's not there. And I think that's a nice actual Spielberg art.
I mean, to me, that was, there are moments in this film that will bring tears to your eyes, and I'm hesitating because I said it was perfect, and you were saying there was bits of it that are saccharine. So that's why I'm sort of hesitating that maybe they are. Maybe it's interesting. Being over emotional, I don't know. But that's one of those moments, I don't think so. And it's an astonishing.
Absolutely,
it's astonishing.
Absolutely. I think that I find that Tom Hanks, who is clearly, I mean, his career is made out of it, but he's clearly the everyman. And he's just a school teacher. I teach English composition. Is that all he teaches? But he's
what is English composition? Is just writing?
Creative writing, I suppose. Not to put down creative writing in any way.
But useless skill.
What? But it's it's the furthest thing you can possibly get from a soldier, I suppose. It's everyman. It's kind of every, it encompasses. It's artistic. It's it's for want of a better word, it's soft compared to being a captain in World War II. But I find his speech, he's brilliant. I think Tom Hanks is the best everyman since James Stewart. But I find that speech afterwards a little bit over sentimental. Maybe it's because in my realistic brain, I'm thinking, that wouldn't happen. Everything Wade does, I think, would happen.
Well, I think you're right. I think after the death scene, you then probably get the weakest scene, because this is where there's effectively a mutiny, and a soldier decides he's going to flounce off, which I think there would be slightly, I don't know, maybe it's done well because you deal with it within the platoon or whatever. You wouldn't you wouldn't start bringing military justice down. But I don't think he would be able to sign papers and allow a soldier to just leave the front during the most important attack on the Western Front in the Second World War.
Yeah.
They need every
but it's an interesting dilemma, though, the argument that they've got to go and save one soldier amongst this theater of war, and it does perhaps make you ask,
that's the inherent nonsense.
Has he got a point?
That's the inherent nonsense of the film, right? Which we all collectively overlook. I mean, just to go back to the sort of historicity of it, there was broadly a policy, and this we said it was based loosely on fact. There was an example. I actually pulled it up earlier on. Let me just.
The Nyland brothers.
The Nyland brothers. There we are. So the real inspiration, the Nyland brothers. So 3 of them were killed. Edward was killed in Normandy. Preston was killed during D-Day. And Bob Nyland was killed, or actually was a POW in Japan. And another one called Fred Nyland was the last brother, and they did actually locate him and pull him out of combat. But, so that's the sort of the precedent that you can cite on this. But the key difference is that they didn't have to send an 8-man squad behind enemy lines to go and find him. Which, of course, and this is the central conceit, and it's brought up in the film. I think it's the Ryban character, this sort of rather world-weary New Yorker, who basically says, what's the logic in sending 8 men potentially to their deaths to save one guy? And that is the sort of rather ridiculous conceit behind the film. So I absolutely concede that one. The precedent is there, but it's a very different scenario from the one that's actually in Saving Private Ryan. But all that aside, I still think it's a brilliant film.
And can we talk about the Bixby letter as well, which is recited?
Yes, I love the Bixby.
Beautiful letter.
Absolutely beautiful. I mean, that phrase that he uses at the end of it, and read, of course, in this, it's read by George Marshall. But
Chief
again,
Staff,
it's one of those points of fact in this whole story. you know, that line that he has, the cherished memory of the loved and lost, which all comes from Lincoln, of course. It's Abraham Lincoln's letter.
That man could write.
That phrase alone, the cherished memory of the loved and lost, that brings shivers to my spine. It's so beautiful.
What does he say? And to beguile you from the
Do you want me to? Shall I read it out?
Yeah, go on.
Read it. It's absolutely.
Can you read
wonderful.
it like he reads it, because it's very well.
I'll bugger it up. Dear Madam, I have been shown in the files of the War Department a statement of the Adjutant General of Massachusetts that you are the mother of 5 sons who have died gloriously on the field of battle. I feel how weak and fruitless must be any words of mine which should attempt to beguile you from the grief of a loss so overwhelming. But I cannot refrain from tendering to you the consolation that may be found in the thanks of the Republic they died to save. I pray that our Heavenly Father may assuage the anguish of your bereavement and leave you only the cherished memory of the loved and lost, and the solemn pride that must be yours, to have laid so costly a sacrifice upon the altar of freedom. Yours, very sincerely and respectfully, A. Lincoln. Bloody hell.
That is absolutely
it's brilliant, and it's not, you could never argue that
there's no spare word in that either. That's absolutely fabulous.
They should have got Lincoln to write the screenplay.
Well, I'm now very sorry to have to inform you that Mrs. Bixby's character has undergone a slight realignment in the years following. She may have expressed Confederate sympathies, but more importantly, it seems as though 2 of her sons did actually survive the war.
Oh, really?
Civil War.
It was all a misapprehension.
I think there's a lot of kind of historical debate over whether this is happened or not, but that does not take away the absolute sort of.
And it's. I love that letter. I love the maybe, and I would assume this could be Spielberg's direction. Actually, is the fact that he stops reading it and then memorizes it. He knows it off by heart.
Lovely, yes.
Absolutely. And it's a great performance, actually.
Lovely detail.
Excellent actor. That is, he's very good in
Fargo.
Fargo, exactly. Yeah.
Tim.
Harv Presnell. Presnell.
He's great.
Excellent actor.
We're going to get the hell out of there.
The hell out of there.
Yeah, because it's got Dale Dye, who's in every American war film that has ever been made since Platoon, I think.
He's the technical advisor.
Yeah, I think it's in the rules that he has. If he's a technical advisor, he also must appear.
Yeah, he does
have it in his contract.
But he also did, because he ran the boot camp for the actors that they went on.
That's what he does. He did it for Platoon as well, and plays I think a divisional commander in Platoon.
Except the only actor who didn't was Matt Damon, and all the other actors.
I was going to mention that.
Had a bit of a grudge.
That was deliberate, so that so that he pissed off all the other actors, right? Already, I mean, in real life, even before they got to acting, they already sort of kind of despised him because he'd swerved all of the boot camp.
And he was sort of. I don't think Good Will Hunting had been released, but when he was filming, it hadn't been. So I don't think they knew that this was a star on the rise. But he was on Joe Rogan recently with his great mate Ben Affleck, and I know.
I saw it.
Yeah, listen to some of that. It's worth listening to. It's very good. But Ben Affleck, Matt Damon described when he had originally received the script. There was a lot of dialogue when they're on the landing craft and they're about to storm the beach. Huge amount of dialogue, and then when he next spoke to Spielberg, he said, "No, we've scrapped all that. It's going to be very little speaking at all. There's going to be very little dialogue at all in the first 25 minutes." And Matt Damon thought, "Wow, something's going to be."
Can we just have a moment? We haven't really talked about the opening scene.
No, we haven't. Let's do it.
It's not really worth talking about.
It is the most unbelievable passage of war cinema, I think, ever. Is it not?
It is incredible. It really is. I think because obviously he's used photography of D-Day.
Yes.
As his kind of template. There's a famous image.
The famous Kappa picture. Yeah, it's a Kappa picture, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, there's also a very interesting little detail. Apart from the technical skill he used, and what they did with the camera, and the fact that it was all handheld and the chaos and everything. But a few years ago, I was watching Dr. Strangelove, and I don't know if you guys know how well you know Dr. Strangelove, but the Sterling Hayden, Peter Sellers sequences in the radar tower. It's a black and white film, obviously, but there's a paranoid. Sterling Hayden's the paranoid soldier who thinks he's under attack, and of course
precious bodily fluids.
Yeah, pressure bodily fluids, and Peter Sellers' gammy leg character.
We should do that. We should definitely do.
And there are troops approaching, and it's very, very brief. There are some shots from the point of view of the soldiers outside that are no more than 5 or 6 shots of machine guns firing. And I remember watching it a few years ago and thinking, wow, Kubrick's quite ahead of his time. That looks really modern, that style of footage he's doing, because it's all handheld. And subsequently, I watched an interview with Steven Spielberg, and Spielberg and Kubrick had been in contact, obviously, because they did AI together. And Kubrick had watched Saving Private Ryan. He said, how the hell did you come up with the opening sequence? It was amazing. And Spielberg went, from Dr. Strangelove. And I thought, that's astonishing, because in a way it had been done in very briefly, technically before, but of course Spielberg drew it out to an entire sequence, which of course works. I mean, I think it took about 6 weeks to shoot the battle, the D-Day landings.
Yeah.
And when you do
all in Western Ireland, apparently, wasn't it?
Yeah. And the innovation they came up with, certain the shutter speeds in the camera to make it really jittery, was remarkable. And I think that's been copied not just in war, but in filmmaking techniques for a lot of action sequences since. So he really developed the vocabulary of film through it.
Wow.
It is absolutely stunning, and I was blown away by it watching it.
All over again. I mean, I've watched it probably 20
It's
times.
not perfect though. I noticed if you look in the horizon behind the landing craft, there's nothing there. So there are no Navy ships there at all.
6,000 Allied vessels.
Until later.
Sadly, no. They must have been hiding or on a different.
Right.
And then also there. I mean, if you watch James Holland's a historical analysis of the opening scene, it's a little bit. He does burst a few bubbles. He's. I
don't want to hear it.
We know about the landing craft obstructions, which are the wrong way around.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Roger, you see these construct, this sort of they're poles that are meant to allow the landing craft to sort of slide up and then flip over or fall or sink or whatever. Yeah. But they're pointed the wrong way, so the landing craft would just bump into it. It wouldn't cause
How did you get that wrong?
Well, I think I have an inside track on this that Gordon Corrigan, huge friend of ours, excellent historian, he tells me that his friend was the historical advisor and who was fired because he said to Spielberg, "Oh, you can't do this; it's historically inaccurate" or something. And I don't know what the particular point was. And Spielberg said, "Well, I'm afraid," or obviously Spielberg's people said, "Well, I'm afraid you can't work with us anymore." And as he was leaving, he noticed that the obstructions were the wrong way around, so he just kept it to himself. That's the story. I suspect that might have been improved over its telling, but there also, and I'll put a link into James Holland's myth busting, and because he's excellent. But the other thing is the machine gun, where the Germans are just firing the machine. They basically just hold the trigger down, and I think, as James Holland states, this machine gun, I forget the name, but Roger, you'll know. The German. Yes.
Yeah. It would burn out very, very quickly.
Yeah. I think it's 1,500 rounds a minute or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you held it down for anything more than 2 or 3 seconds, the barrel's going to melt.
Yes, that's very true.
And obviously
that's a good point. And they are basically just firing completely constantly. No, that's a very good point.
But it's the effect, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The emotional effect.
There is another video with a very good American historian who really, the thing I got out of what he was saying was the effect of artillery, which I think is probably the most powerful for me, is the effect of artillery on troops, and not only physically maiming soldiers, which you obviously see in huge detail, but also the kind of concussed shock you get when you're exposed to that kind of artillery fire on a Hank's experiences, you see it from his point of view.
You get that in that opening scene as well. There's that chap. Spielberg, as we know, used amputees very effectively in that scene. But there's one guy who's lost his arm. Do you remember? And he's sort of wandering around and then picks up his own arm, and it's just a throwaway, sort of 2-second scene. But it's one of those where you go, oh my god, and then also the Tom Hanks character, of course, is also is in the artillery. There's a moment where he's completely deaf, and there's people, he's sort of
the playing with sound was amazing.
Exactly.
Speeds of the camera where it goes into slow motion. In fact,
so he brings all of that across really well.
The sound design is, I think, definitely worth mentioning, because that, I would say, makes up 70% of that opening sequence, particularly if you had seen it in the cinema, like Ollie. Did you see it in the cinema, Roger?
Originally, yes. Yeah.
I mean, what a remarkable experience just for the senses. But I absolutely adore. I remember thinking, in fact, I might have said it out loud, what a bloody genius. Like, it's right at the beginning of the attack, as soon as the boats open and the shooting starts and they go over the sides, and the playing with sound going underwater.
As you go into the water,
and then up and then down, like as if the camera's ahead, basically. I just thought it was remarkably good idea. And the playing with speeds, and then the tracking up the beach. It's the movement of the camera, I think. It's just, well, what an amazing thing to come up with. And it's got this own story. The opening sequence has its own arc. It's like a mission in itself. Obviously, it was. But what I want to ask the historians is, from the breaking of the waves to where they get to the take out the Germans up in the bunker, how accurate are we talking? To actually that with the ease of getting up that beach, was it? I mean, were they being mowed down?
I think they didn't suffer quite as many losses as that small stretch of beach which is filmed implies. Like they obviously did lose a lot of men. I think it's around 2,500 men is the number of Americans lost on the storming of all their beaches. Whereas I think if you see in that small, that's Omaha, Omaha. What are the other two?
Juno, Gold.
Gold is British one, I think, and Sword is British. Juno, I thought was Canadian.
Oh, Canadian, yeah.
Omaha, and what's the other? Because I've been to Omaha Beach, this sort of huge stretch of beach. We should know the other one, because the Americans were involved, weren't they? As far as
we should know.
The Americans were involved in D-Day, weren't they?
Which was the cliff? I can't remember.
Yeah. That's. I mean, we covered that on another podcast for The Longest Day, and anyway, Americans can angrily get hold of me if they want.
Board. I mean,
we can't remember the other bloody. We've got the main ones. We've got the British and Canadian ones. They're the ones that matter. Anyway,
well, not in this film.
But I think, and the other thing that James Holland sort of sensibly points out is that the photographs that are Spielberg's inspiration were filmed on sort of D-Day +3, I think, D-Day +2.
Oh, really? Right.
So
Slightly misleading. The camera never lies, of course.
Yeah,
except when it does.
And so I think the implication from that small section of beach depicted in the film is that it was an absolute slaughter. But I don't think it was quite as bad. But if you were taking part in the attack, I mean, you're going to think it was a bloody slaughter. So I think it's completely justifiable way of doing it.
Now, should we get to some of our
yes,
our
let's get on with
picks,
it. Well done,
awards?
Roger. You've obviously got somewhere to be. Far busier than we are. Right. So we've got a few categories for listeners. So this is just a bit of fun. It doesn't really mean much, although I think awards, actors love awards. We're around Oscar ceremony, and Oscars are obviously a bit of a joke. Very rarely are they awarded to the best performance, but that is one of our awards, best performance. So really, if you want an accurate awards show, you should be listening to this podcast.
Absolutely right.
Right, so best performance, we're going to do that. We're going to do the most egregious overacting. We're going to do historical accuracy, because you have to. And we're going to do biggest plot flaw.
Okay.
Well,
and then finally, who won the film, which I have shamelessly stolen from another well-known film podcast, which shall remain nameless. And then we always have our category, don't we? What if Tarantino had made it? All right, so let's start with best performance. So really, this is a Tom Hanks movie.
It is, but you can't. That is taking away from the ensemble nature of it, along with the fact that this is. I would say he's very good in it. Don't get me wrong, but he's very Tom Hanks.
Yeah,
he's the guy you go to for this role.
Yeah,
considering also compared to some of the performances Tom Hanks has given, I think I think Castaway is very much underrated. He's excellent in that film, really. I would give it to someone else in this, personally.
Me too.
We've mentioned him.
My nomination is Giovanni Ribisi.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. What about Tom Sizemore's Horvat?
He would be my number 2.
Right.
But I'm with you.
I think really good. Quite understated, but a really good performance as the
sobered up for this experience. I think he was nearly kicked off the set, wasn't he?
And of course, and he's another RIP. He died recently.
He is very sad. Brilliant actor.
Great actor.
He had his own personal struggles, obviously, and managed to carry this one off, and I think carried it off really, really well. So, honourable mention there.
Yeah,
I think Adam Goldberg was very good.
Very nice pencil moustache.
Yeah. Yes. He's sort of really excellently arrogant.
Yes.
Especially when he's telling all the Germans that he's Jewish.
Yeah.
They're going past. Juden.
That's excellent.
But yeah, I agree. I think I would 100%. Ribisi steals it in many ways.
Yeah,
I mean, there are excellent sort of really minor roles that are done so well, like the glider pilot Leyland Orsa, who was last seen in Seven as the rather unfortunate victim in Seven who has to have sex with a prostitute using a Oh, it's awful.
A thing. But he's the go-to guy when you want absolute terrified stress, fear.
Yes.
Supporting actor who comes in and needs to stutter a lot, and he's got this knack for it, which is amazing.
Yeah,
just too goddamn heavy. And Ryan Hurst is the sort of hearing impaired paratrooper.
He's really good.
Very brief, but really good.
And
then of course Paul Giamatti is like
great character. Actually, loved that character. He's always got something in his shoe. I thought he was a really good minor character, actually.
Ted Danson is a sort of 50-year-old. I mean, that's part of the problems with a lot of these films is the officers, and in fact, all of them are all generally speaking, just too old. Hanks is what, 40 when he's in this? 35, 40?
41. 41. I think he had his 41st birthday on the set.
Too old, really. I mean, the average age of a soldier in the American infantry is like mid-20s. An officer is mid-20s, I think, if that. Right. But in Ted Danson, he's a captain in it, and he's what, 50?
Yeah.
A bit. Obviously, he's criticizing Montgomery. He's a 50-year-old captain.
Yeah.
Not that I have a problem with 50-year-old captains in combat. I'd like to point out.
Yeah.
But just don't have a go at Monty.
Yeah, exactly. If you, just.
Can we also? I know we mentioned Upham.
Yeah, he's good.
As another nod to Upham. I think Upham's great. And
that leads me slightly on to number 2 prize, which is the most egregious overacting.
Overacting, right?
And I think he does suffer from that a few times.
He's the thing is,
what's his name? Jeremy. What is it?
Davis.
Jeremy Davis.
The thing is that
Davies.
I thought he was, when I first saw it, I thought, wow, he's really, when he does the when Bottas hits him and he's like, ow, he does this kind of nervous thing really well. But unfortunately, he's like that in every single thing he's done.
Now, is that because that's who he is, or is it?
It may be who it may be who I don't know, but
he is a little bit. That is his sort of. They've called him a character actor, but I find him a little one-dimensional. But he's but that's why it is down to casting to use him appropriately, which is done throughout his career. I mean, I don't know if you saw Spanking the Monkey, which was
really good film.
Yeah, and he's been in he was in Lost, I think, the TV show.
Yeah, he was in Solaris, which actually plays a slightly the remake with George Clooney. Where he plays a slightly evil version, but it's still kind of that nervous. I don't know, jittery, a little
Ravenous
bit.
Is same character in Ravenous.
Oh, yeah, we've got to do that.
Very good film, which we should do. We should do Ravenous. It's really good.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
When he is overacting then?
Well, I do think so. I think there are occasions. I think in the immediate aftermath of the death of Wade, there's a slight amount of overacting in that.
I would like to give a shout out to the little French girl.
Overacting?
No, actually, as very interesting, as a very good. When she's brought back to her mum,
she hits her dad.
Hitting her dad.
Yeah.
I was like, good on you. I mean, good on you.
Yeah.
What the is wrong with your father?
Okay. Well, so we'll give that to Jeremy. I mean, I hope he doesn't mind. He's had a very good career. Number 3 is the biggest plot flaw. I think the plot flaw might be, using the Nyland brothers. They were the last one was simply sent home. I mean, there wasn't any kind of mission to get there.
No.
So the plot flaw.
The plot flaw is that this would have happened at all.
Exactly, and I think well expressed by Dale Dye in the beginning of the film. We don't know. For all we know, he's KIA too. So that is probably the plot flaw is the plot.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, absolutely right.
I agree. I just wanted to draw it because when you mentioned Paul Giamatti, when he goes and he has something in his shoe and he leans against the wall and it caves in, and then the Germans right there.
Yeah.
I just in repeated viewing, I just thought, hang on, there's a lot of noise. They're making a lot of noise, these people. How on earth do they not know that they're there?
Yes, I agree with that.
Like, I know
that
walls
ridiculous scene
can be thick, and I'm not sure but surely it'd be like, can you hear something? Can you hear something? And the fact that they know that there are all these Americans in, or at least just outside the village, or I don't know, in the village. It just felt a bit. Oh, they're right there. Although I do love the way they're blasted to hell.
Yes,
on the standoff.
It's rather one-sided, I thought, but yeah,
a little bit. Yeah.
Did you want to even up the odds a bit there, Ollie? I thought you didn't like the Germans.
I didn't want, didn't want to, but yeah. The historical accuracy. So I think we kind of covered that. There are the little things that soldiers get very upset by, which is patrols which are on the sort of crest of a hill with the sun and the moon in the background. That upsets people because obviously it's not. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
No.
And
can we just quickly? We haven't actually properly mentioned the lack of any ally.
No ally. Well, if you're in that part of Normandy, you wouldn't come across some allies. I don't think you might. Possibly an airman, but pretty unlikely.
But this
so the British and the Canadians.
It's a micro story, isn't it? It's a micro story.
But the British,
it's not the history of D-Day.
No, but my issue is that the only people they ever come across are other Americans.
I think that's completely reasonable.
Is that reasonable?
Yeah.
This is one of the questions I want to know, because the thing is the Brits and the Canadians landed on the beaches. They didn't come into contact with any of them.
No.
Right.
Is that? No, I'm asking. Is that they did?
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, I think
if you were a bit further to the southeast, you might have come across some British parachute.
As I said, given this is a sort of micro narrative, I think it's fair enough to.
Yeah, me too.
Do that. Yeah.
Can I quote Oliver Stone? He thinks that the opening was remarkable, and the rest of the film was, quote, bullshit.
Well, he has obviously fought in Vietnam and knows what
and
his like.
His major criticism was the fact that there were absolutely no allies at all. Right. French, Polish, British, South Africans, anything. Australians, New Zealanders, nothing.
Well, I honestly, if they'd come across some French soldiers, that would have probably been even more unrealistic,
even more ridiculous.
That was mean, harsh.
No, it's not. It's
no, they did. They were at D-Day. There was a French commando, Free French Legion division, and maybe not that many, but
no Free French in Normandy whatsoever.
What you mean, resistance?
Like, they go in. They go to
possibly
they walk across the countryside.
I mean, that's covered very well in The Longest Day, but I think this is. I think, as Roger says, this is not meant to be the history of D-Day. No. This is a microscopic look at a small group of troops.
Americans.
Yeah. I think it's fine. It doesn't bother me. What does slightly annoy me is the only mention of the Allies is to criticise them.
Yes,
and it's once
Montgomery, but anyway. Right, so that was the historical accuracy. Number 5, Tarantino. What if Tarantino had made it? Would the whole film have been like the opening? Can you do an hour and a half of combat like you saw?
No,
he wouldn't do that. You can't, and that's another point. Again, I'm going back to praising this film, but one of the things I noted down, I think the pacing of this film is perfect because it is. I mean, it's basically a mission movie, right?
Yeah,
it's like a road movie. It's a mission movie, but it has its lulls and where you have the moment to build character and so on, like the scene in the church, and then it ramps up again. I think that's one of the things that Spielberg does very well. And he did it. I mean, to me, with Spielberg's work, I mean, you look at Duel, obviously his first film.
Amazing.
It's an amazing film, and the way that is sort of paced, and you've got these sort of high points of drama, and then it lulls again, and then it ramps up. You can't keep that, high level of drama all the way through because it's just absolutely exhausting.
Like Black Hawk Down, becomes exhausting.
Yeah, completely.
In my opinion, and a little boring.
It has to lull and then pick up, and then during the lulls, you can do the characterization and the backstory and the exposition and all the rest.
I don't think Tarantino would have done it.
Does it really well.
Tarantino wouldn't have done the style like the opening 30 minutes. It's not in his nature.
Maybe that would have been the end.
Yeah, but I still think he wouldn't have done it like that. He wouldn't have shot it like that. He doesn't shoot super handheld, jittery. He's very, even in the high tension scenes, he tends to do things quite cinematically, relatively smoothly, if you watch something like Inglourious Bastards, anything. Also, can I just say, Tarantino would definitely have killed the German.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, he wouldn't have just shot the German. They probably would have stabbed him 300 times.
Scalped him, yeah.
Scalped him, done that sort of thing. And it wouldn't have been as, Wade's death wouldn't have been as gut-wrenchingly emotional. It would have been more cartoonish. There'd be a bit more cartoonish violence in this.
Yes.
That's how
I think it would have been an infinitely worse film, honestly.
And a lot of dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sassy dialogue.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we do. I like this category because Tim and I are huge admirers of Tarantino. Roger, I think you are as well. And
up to a point.
I think
he does tend to disappear up his own backside.
But I think when we started watching Tarantino films in the early 90s, it really was like nothing we'd ever seen before. So that's why I like to use him.
He definitely changed the course of independent cinema.
Yeah.
As a movement. But then, like as Roger says, the behind the backside issue, I think it has come a lot
backside issue.
very, very, very much in later years where he any film he writes will get made. He knows that. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I believe he in an interview he said he finished the script and it was funded within a week.
Wow.
And the thing is that he has no need for an editor, a script editor. So I think, in his later years, he overwrites a lot.
This is the problem with, as we know, with some of not our fellow authors, but, the bigger people get, the less willing other people are, and very often experts and editors and people like that, to say, you can't do that. That doesn't work. That's daft. Because the bigger you are, you just kind of railroad everybody, and I think he falls into that category.
Yeah, I think The Hateful Eight is a great example of that. Actually.
Certainly.
All right, what we should do, Inglourious Bastards, on this podcast. It's fantastic movie with a great opening scene. Right, finally, who won the film? This was the category I unashamedly nicked.
Yeah.
Who won the movie? I think I was tempted to say Ribisi's won the best performance. I'm not sure you could say he won the whole film. I think this is definitely a Spielberg.
Yeah.
Because of the opening scene, he kind of redefined combat on film.
Yeah.
And let's give credit also to the end. The end fight is
brilliant.
Had there been no opening scene, I think people would talk about the end.
Timing's a little convenient.
Timing.
Of course, like the arrival of the P-51.
Oh, yeah. Well,
the airplane comes quite literally as they're about to win. Yeah.
That's true. But I do love the ending.
Did you notice, which I don't remember noticing in the many times I've seen this film before, but the guy that actually delivers the fatal shot to Tom Hanks is Steamboat Willie. Is the German that they let live earlier on.
Can you remind me why he's called Steamboat Willie?
Because he was going doot doot doot.
He's talking about Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
Betty Graeber.
Betty Graeber.
What a dish. What I do love about the end battle, though, I think it's a great narrative device. I love it. Is that Spielberg doesn't ever cut to the Germans. It's all done with the sound of the approach of the tanks.
Yeah.
That grows and grows and grows. And I always think it's exactly the same way as he used the T-Rex in Jurassic Park. It's just the sound of something approaching that is so ominous that and then when they do arrive, that you just see them at a distance. And I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And then, one goes past and then they're like, oh, and then the other one and then turns and comes and you're like, oh no. I just think that's a great device.
And just in that final scene, a nod to someone who we haven't mentioned, the sniper character,
Barry Pepper.
Barry Pepper, yeah, great actor.
He's
very good.
He's got a really good face for cinema, for one thing.
Yeah,
and I thought he was great throughout the film as well. So nod.
A little bit too much. Powers and with me and I'm a Lord of God. A little bit too much of that, but a lot of crucifix kissing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got to have one of those. You've got 8 men to play with. You've got to have one of those.
True.
Okay, so I think
it is definitely Spielberg's film.
Yeah.
You know, remember he won Best Director, but bizarrely, I don't know how you guys feel about this. Lost to Shakespeare in Love as the Best Picture, which I believe didn't go down very well with Spielberg and Tom Hanks. That they didn't attend the party that they were meant to. I think they were a bit. This should have won Best Picture.
Well, I think it should. Surely, I mean,
as we know, the Oscars are a complete joke. I mean, Shakespeare in
Love's a very good film, though.
It is a very good film. It's a great,
but it's not
romantic comedy. Lots of fun.
Ryan, come on. Really?
Correct.
How can
interesting.
you
Ben Affleck, Matt Damon's great rival, friend, appears in
Silence, you dog.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
But then, if we did a podcast on the times that the Oscars got it wrong, it would be a very, very long. Yeah. All right, I think that's it. Right, now what we should do is decide on our next episode, next film.
Yes.
Let's do it live. I wanted to do it live. Now, I had a few nominations. So, in light of our conversation, we can stick with World War II and do our first Tarantino and do Inglourious Bastards.
What about Master and Commander?
Yeah, we have.
I think we did talk about that, didn't we?
We did,
or Master and Commander.
Yeah.
And we were gonna drag Antonia in because she's a big fan of.
Yes, we were. Let's do that. Okay.
And
then we can do
special guest with Antonia on board.
Tarantino fans, don't worry. He's mentioned every episode, and then we will be doing Inglourious Bastards. It will have.
How many Tarantino fans are listening?
Yes. So yeah, let's do Master and Commander. That will be next. That will be 4 of us. That will be exciting.
Yeah. And we just let Antonia speak about it for the whole hour.
It's got some of the finest opening credits that have ever. The opening info panel or whatever they call it is just quite stunning.
Yeah.
So
it's a great film.
Okay, let's do it. All right. Well, this has been fantastic. Tim, thank you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Roger, thank you.
My great pleasure. Lovely to see you both.
And listeners and viewers, thank you very much. Until next time.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again. But if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now. You call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time, 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.